Hello, brothers and sisters. I'm Father Frank Pavone, National Director of Priests for Life. Great to be joining you for this election video. This is another episode in our series of educational videos found at electionvideos.org to help prepare our fellow citizens, our fellow believers, for this year's elections. Well, today I want to talk to you about the difference between policy and principle, and point out to you why the political debate over the right to life is a different kind of debate than the debates over various other policy issues. The economy, fighting crime, immigration, and various other important issues. There's a big difference in the category of debate. What are we talking about here? Well, let's take the question of crime. What constitutes the difference between how two opposing candidates in a political race might approach the question of crime? In other words, exactly what are they going to be arguing about? Presumably, and I think in the experience of us all, what they're going to be arguing about, what's going to be dividing them, is the following. Who has the better plan to reduce crime? Right? Isn't that going to be the question of the debate? Because one candidate is going to come along and say, look, when I was mayor of this town or governor of this state, here was my plan, and we actually indeed succeeded in reducing crime to this particular rate. And then the other will say, yes, but there's a problem with your plan. Let me show you why my idea is going to reduce it even more. But you see, the thrust of the arguments and the goals that they're trying to achieve are both moving in the same direction. They want to reduce and ultimately eliminate crime based on the principle that the people whom they serve in public office need to be protected as far as is humanly possible from crime. So they agree on the principles involved. They may disagree on the policy. And no one's infallible about policy. May the best man win. Let's see the arguments, let's see the evidence. And a lot of it is going to have to be trial and error. Now, what the debate between those candidates is not going to be is about the question of whether someone can commit crime. It's not going to be one candidate saying, I will reduce crime, and the other candidate saying, I am campaigning on the right to commit crime. If everyone has the freedom to commit crime, that's what I'm going to assure. No, that would be a difference in principle. Those two now are working for opposite purposes. They're not both trying to see who can reduce crime. One is talking about the principle that people must be protected from crime. The other one is saying there's a right to crime. That's a very different kind of argument, isn't it? From simply a policy disagreement as to what plan will work best. And that's the way it is for most issues, right? I mean, it's not a question of whether people should be healthy or sick. Candidates are not going to campaign on the right to spread sickness, the right to spread disease. You're going to talk about the right to health and health care, and you're going to argue again about whose policies are going to promote the greatest health. There's principle on which there is agreement. There's policy which it leads to a disagreement on how best to implement the principle. Now, let's switch over to the question of the right to life, the most fundamental right which is being denied to one group of people, the children yet in the womb. What is the dispute there between candidates who on the one hand are pro-life and on the other hand who say they are pro-choice? What is the dispute there between the political parties who likewise take opposite positions on abortion? In the question of the right to life, the question is not a dispute between how best to protect these babies. The dispute is over whether to protect these babies. It's not an argument simply about policy. It's an argument about principle. And the principle is the right to life. The principle is you can't kill the innocent. The principle is nothing ever justifies the killing of a baby. But that's what they disagree on. And so here, when it comes to the right to life, we're talking about a whole different type of debate. When it comes to the abortion issue, it's not just a distinction in policy, it is a disagreement on fundamental principle. And it's important that we understand the difference. There is no gray area or room for prudential judgment or doubt or space for a variety of different policies when it comes to the fundamental question of should the baby be protected or may the baby be killed. There's no middle ground between those questions. There's no middle ground between life and death. It's a straight up and down question. Do we protect the innocent or do we not? And if you break that principle that we protect the innocent, well, then that also affects the basis of protecting born people as well as unborn people, because it's a principle behind every law and public policy that protects people from murder, from senseless shootings with guns and stabbings and bombs. That we protect the innocent is a bedrock principle of civilization. So when it comes to arguments over the right to life and abortion, my friends, the policy is the principle. You don't kill babies. You can't authorize the taking of innocent life. That's why this debate is more fundamental than others. Nobody is saying that the other issues aren't important. But you know, there is not in the Catholic Catechism a policy, a legislative policy on how to fight crime. There is not a legislative policy on immigration. There is not a legislative policy on helping the poor or on health care. What you find in the Catechism, as you find in the Scriptures and the other documents of the Church, are the moral principles that undergird all these issues. But when it comes to abortion, which attacks directly the right to life, the policy is the principle. What we're saying is there's only one correct policy when it comes to the right to life of unborn babies, and that is you protect them. You can't authorize their killing. I hope this helps, brothers and sisters, helps you to understand how much more fundamental than any other argument in the political or moral realm is this question of the right to life. After all, without life, we don't have anything else. And without preserving the principle that you have to protect life, well then, you're on quicksand in trying to advance any other kind of human rights issue. Well, I hope this is helpful to you, and to see other videos in our series preparing for the election, go to electionvideos.org. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sharing this. I'm Father Frank Pavone, National Director of Priests for Life. God bless you.